Out of date, what is the Restitution of Land Rights Amendment Act expected to achieve? And is the Khoi and San community likely to benefit from the 30 June 2019 land claims deadline? How is government addressing land claimed by kings and other traditional leaders? What time is it? It is question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Mpho Tsedu. A consultative conference was recently convened by the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. It was aimed at addressing land dispossessions prior to 1913 as a policy proposal to provide the exceptions to the 1913 Natives Land Act. Meanwhile, the Restitution of Land Rights Amendment Act provides for the reopening of the lodgement of land claims by people who missed the 31st December 1998 deadline. The lodgement of land claims shall now continue to take place until 30 June 2019 cutoff date. But is the extension likely to benefit the Khoi and San community? A reminder that we are live, and therefore you can call us. The number to dial 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at Question Time 24. Those are the numbers to dial if you want to give us a call to contribute to the program. Now, indeed, my guest today, Tami Mtontswa, is the Deputy Chief Land Claims Commissioner, and John van Rooyen is Chairman of the Gauteng Khoi and San Council. Gentlemen, welcome to Question Time.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
You are not a very happy community.
Yeah, indeed. If we have been dispossessed of our land, our culture, our rights, then Tsepo, what do you expect?
Let's talk about the land which you claim to be yours. I'm sure you're not about to expel all of us here.
We don't want to expel you. But what we are saying is that the San and the Khoi people were the first people, or the first indigenous people in South Africa. Let's just look at South Africa and not even go to Southern Africa. And so therefore, we need to be recognized in the Constitution that we are the first indigenous people.
Yes.
And once that happens, then concomitantly, what it means then is that the land belongs to the San and the Khoi people. But we know that the San and Khoi people cannot get all the land in South Africa at this point in time.
Sure.
So, but then can we start talking about it? Can we start negotiating? Can we sit with Tami and them and then identify which portions of land the San and the Khoi people could have? Why?
Do you currently have any land?
Some people, yes. Because you see, you spoke about the cutoff date.
Yes.
That has been extended. So some people claimed prior to that.
Okay.
And some of them got some of the land. Other people claimed, or they didn't claim through the land restitution process, but they took government to court. A case in point is the Richtersveld people. They took government to court, they claimed the land, and government appealed to the Supreme Court of Appeal, also to the Constitutional Court. But the people in the Richtersveld won that case, and the land was then given back to them. Approximately, I think, about 50,000 hectares of land.
When are you giving the Khoi and the San their land back?
We took certain decisions as a country in 1994. And one of those decisions was that we are a constitutional democracy, that the Constitution is going to be the supreme law of our land.
Correct.
Now, the Constitution states in its preamble that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. The Constitution says that all citizens in South Africa are equal and they have equal protection of the law.
Yes.
And it recognizes the rights of people that currently own land, but then it calls for land redistribution, land restitution, and land tenure reform. And through those programs, we are trying to facilitate a program that is going to result in the equitable redistribution of land in South Africa.
So, what is your answer to my question then?
The answer to your question is there is a legal framework that is in place which informs the work of government. And government must address the needs of all its citizens as equal citizens.
These equal citizens here are saying they have been robbed of their land.
The Khoi and the San were the first to defend the land during colonialism. In fact, as early as the 1400s. But then between then and, say, 1994, there were many wars that were fought where the Khoi and the San participated, where the kings and the queens and the generals and the broader communities also fought in defending the land. So when we are addressing the so-called land question, we have to then find an equitable distribution of land, taking into account our history. In South Africa, we are a country that is different to all other countries on earth. We were colonized, so were many other countries in Africa and elsewhere. But ours is a different reality in the sense that we still live with our colonizers. So as we try to build a united nation, as the Constitution requires us to do, how then do we involve the colonizers? How do we ensure that there is equitable redistribution of the land? In 1994, 87% of South Africa was owned by a minority of less than 20% in the country. How do we redistribute the 87% of the land that the 1913 Natives Land Act allocated to white people?
I'm failing to understand if you're saying the Khois and the Sans are going to get their land back. That's all basically which I want to know.
We are saying the Constitution requires an equitable distribution of land. We took a decision in '94 that we're a constitutional democracy, so we must implement what the Constitution requires. We have seen that there is a need for a targeted program that is going to address the descendants of the Khoi and the San, heritage sites and historical landmarks. We have been working on what we call the exceptions program. 1913, the Natives Land Act was passed, and that act legislated land dispossessions. Prior to that, there had been wars that were fought when people and communities lost land. From 1913 all the way up until yesterday, there is the Constitution, there's the Restitution Act that tells you how to go about getting that land back.
Okay, I want to go back to him, but I'm tempted to actually put you on the spot. Yes or no? Will the Khois and the Sans get their land back?
We have programs in place that is going to assist government to ensure that there is an equitable distribution of land in South Africa. There is a program, the Exceptions Program, which is going to specifically target the descendants of the Khoi and the San, heritage sites and historical landmarks. And that is what we were discussing at that conference that you referred to in your introduction.
Historical sites and landmarks only.
The descendants of the Khoi and the San,
Yeah.
historical landmarks and heritage sites.
Only.
For dispossessions before 1913. For dispossessions after 1913, there's the Constitution, there's the Restitution of Land Rights Act already in place.
So Tami continuously refers to the Constitution on the one hand, and he also talks about the Freedom Charter. And so we're saying that, in the process of CODESA, the San and the Khoi people did not participate in CODESA because they were not invited. Some people are asked, but what did you do about it? Why didn't you insist to be invited? But what happened is, your traditional leadership were invited in terms of the Xhosas, the Zulus, etc. They were invited, they participated in the CODESA process. And you can see the rights of traditional leadership is firmly entrenched in the Constitution of South Africa. There's even a National House of Traditional Leadership. There are Provincial House of Traditional Leadership. There's a whole range of others. That's but one part of it. Now, if you look at the San, the Khoi people, there's nothing. As we sit here, there's nothing. And it's as a result of them not participating in the CODESA process. So technically, you can basically say that the San, the Khoi people could reject the constitution. Because as the Indigenous, the first Indigenous people, they were supposed to have been there. They are the first people that were supposed to be there. So that you can talk about the land issues, you can talk about the cultural issues, etc., and the language issues. But they were not there.
Okay.
Secondly, if you go back to the Freedom Charter, yes, at a point when it was drawn up, there was one of the 5 groups was the Colored People's Party, and they signed the Freedom Charter. And the Freedom Charter was in Kliptown, was drawn up in Kliptown, and adopted in Kliptown. Now, the thing is, when our forefathers, those that signed that, if they knew that in this dispensation of this new government, we were not going to get the land back. That's the reason why they say the land belongs to all who lives in it. And so, but does it belong to all who live in it? We, as the first Indigenous people, don't even have the land. Yeah. So for those that signed the Freedom Charter, they probably thought that the right thing would be done by this government. And the right thing is to give the land back or acknowledge the San, the Khoi people as the first Indigenous people, and then give them their land, and then distribute the rest of the land to all the other people. Okay,
I want us to take a quick break. When we return, let's talk about the forced removals and all the other apartheid-related, unfortunate instances that have resulted in black people landless today. If you want to participate, the number to dial is 089 1104210, 089 1104210. Our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. We'll also be taking your comments and questions there. This is Question Time.
We live in a digital era, and the number of Africans with mobile phones is rapidly increasing.
Twitter use is predominantly being done on smartphones. This is a very African phenomenon.
Here, there are constantly new innovative ways to make the internet more affordable. With that, we're seeing protests against governments proposing methods to limit access. On Network, we give you information about all of this. We also have new computers, games, and robots.
Join Siphumelele Zondi on Network every Sunday at 19:30 CAT.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Our guest today is Mpho Tsedu, who is the Deputy Chief Land Claims Commissioner, and John van Rooyen is the Chairman of the Khoi and San Council. We've got Tony on the line. Tony, you are in the Northwest. Welcome.
Hello, Mpho.
Yes.
Yes, Mpho. Honestly, this is a question of who is in charge. When it was the white government said our forefathers fought for this land, so it is our land, it belongs to us. Now with the black government says the white men took the land from them, so it is their land. But honestly, the Khoi San, they don't get credit in South Africa. I know under the coat of arms there are words there, there are words, the Khoi San words there. I don't know what they mean. If you can tell Mr. Day to tell us what do they mean. But the Khoi San are not credited. They have a rich history about South African land. We need to acknowledge them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Tony. Well, that means what? Unity in diversity.
Yeah. People united come together. Okay. I think government has changed it to just say unity in diversity.
Oh, I see.
Okay, yeah.
But the literal translation is...
People united come together. Yes.
Okay. Do you agree that you're giving them a raw deal?
we have recognized that in the implementation of land reform between 1994 and 2009 in particular, they have not benefited as government would have wanted, and interventions have been identified. Okay. The state president announced in 2013 that there would be exceptions to the 1913 Natives Land Act cut-off date to accommodate the Khoi and San heritage sites and historical landmarks.
But why are you focusing on historical landmarks and heritage sites? What happens to other areas that are not part of that?
Those areas are claimable in terms of the Restitution Act. The exceptions is going to be looking at areas where land was dispossessed through wars.
Okay.
In restitution, we are looking at dispossessions that were caused by legislation, whereas in the exceptions, we'll be looking at wars.
Okay. Tato, welcome. You are calling us from Pretoria. Tato?
Yes, how are you?
We're well. Thanks for the call.
Yes, my concern here is about the Khoi and San representative there.
The what?
Hello?
Yes?
You feel so low. I don't know whether, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say when the ANC fought for the country, it fought for everybody. That's why it says the land shall belong to all of them who live in it. If they say they want their land separately, then what do they mean about the rest of the people in the land? Because all of us, so what is happening now is that they must just follow the process of restitution as it says there. They must just follow the process of restitution as it's aligned to everybody in South Africa. That apply to everybody else the way the system is. So there's no way we are going to get separate land from them, because when we fought, we did not fought for the Africans only. When the ANC fought, it fought for everybody.
But Tato, the Khoisan never said that they don't want anybody, on the land which they are claiming. I mean, there are many other people, nations or tribes that have claimed land in South Africa. Why were they not told that you cannot claim land because it belongs to all who live in it? Okay, unfortunately he's gone.
Yeah, Tato must understand. I mean, we're talking about, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. That's just now, that's recent. It's 50 years, 100 years probably. But as Tami said, Tami indicated that the Khoi people fought wars in the 1400s. Okay. So when the Almeida and them, Vasco da Gama and them came here, we fought them. There's a war. And so what about that? So therefore we fought for everybody, because at that point in time, African people were here already.
Okay.
And so also fought those wars on behalf of those African people. Yeah. So why can't we then get that land?
Okay, hold it there. Temba, you are in the Eastern Cape.
Yes, Mpho.
Yes.
Mpho, let's make it quick. One, the constitution of the country affords everybody and all tribes a right to a land. And the land restitution processes also affords the Khoisan the right to make claims on pieces of land that they feel or they know or they claim. That's one part. Second part, the traditional houses that are established in all provinces and in the national government are also calling and allowing Khoisan kingship to go and take part in those that are established. I do not think they are calling for their own house within the provincial spheres of government and national, but they are calling, or they should call, for a seat or a right to sit in what has been established already.
Okay.
But what we need, maybe we'll need to go back and say what is stopping them or hindering them from making the appropriate claim. Right enough, government has opened up the hindrance, which was 1913.
Yes.
They should go for it.
Okay, thanks very much, Tamba. Let's check some tweets here, see what our viewers are saying there. Sbulele Makini says, the Khoi happen to be the first in South Africa, but that doesn't mean they own the land. It belongs to all those who live in South Africa. Poor Khoisans. Melikaya Yoko says, But Black first, land first. Oh, that's Andile's movement. Land was stolen and must be given back. We cannot go use the charter and constitution. Okay, Melikaya. And Ibuto Lesizwe, just an African, says, are coloureds and Kosi, I think he wants to say Khoi and San classified the same according to today's government? Please educate us on that. Let me just quickly go to that.
What we are saying, so government classified the Khoi and San people as coloured. So in the population register, you find 4.6 million coloureds. And in terms of that, how we were in the party government, how we were classified. Some of us were classified as coloured, Malay coloured or Cape coloured. Some of us were classified as other coloured or another coloured. Some of us were classified as Griqua. And these were all the different classifications. So you find that you had brothers and sisters being classified differently. One Cape Malay, the other one another coloured or other coloured. Because when they took the pencil and pushed it through your hair, if it got stuck, then you're another coloured or another coloured. When it goes through smoothly, then you're Cape Malay or Cape coloured. So these are the things that happen.
You don't have hair?
Then, people wait because you were a small little child, so they look at your skin, etc. But when you come to, at the moment now, so what people have been doing, people have been looking at their DNA, and the DNA now shows that 90% of people classified as coloured are now L0, which then shows that they are from Khoi or San descent.
Okay. Thabo, you are in Pretoria. Thabo?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call.
Yes, how are you?
I'm well.
Yeah, Mpho, I just want to say something there. Yeah, this thing of land there is dealing tactics. It's dealing tactics because if you can see, maybe if that they must allocate the land to their rightful owners, yeah?
Thabo, your line is very bad. I don't know, maybe it's something on our side or not. Perhaps if you can just call us back, that would be fine. Let's quickly talk about the apartheid removals and all that. Can people reapply now? I mean, I know of people who have moved from right here in Sophia town and moved to Soweto. They didn't take the opportunity that was availed then to claim. Can they still do that?
We have, since the 1st of July 2014, reopened the lodgement of land claims. Yes. That is by persons or communities that lost land after 19 June 1913 because of apartheid laws. And those should be people that did not claim in the first period that ended on 31st December 1998. Okay. The 5-year period ends on the 30th of June in 2019. So there are 14 offices where you can lodge your claims, and because some of the offices are far from our people, we have mobile lodgement offices which are roaming the country collecting claims.
Now, what happens to instances where the Bantustan homelands gave people land, dispossessed the others, and all that? Are you going to rectify that as well?
Yes, we do. In fact, of the claims that were lodged during the first period, there were dispossessions that were effected by the former homeland governments, okay, and those are valid dispossessions.
Okay. Mr. Van Rooyen, perhaps the last one. Do you have the Khoi and the San people in Zimbabwe, for instance?
Yes, all over Africa, okay, and all over the world.
Okay.
So if you go back and you look at our DNA is the closest. It goes back to 150 to 170,000 years. Whoa, in terms of mitochondrial DNA.
Okay.
So all the rock art that you find all over the world, there's rock art in Zimbabwe, there's rock art in Mapungubwe.
Yes.
There's rock art in Europe. So all come from the San and the Khoi people. Okay. Yes, so we do have. They're all our descendants.
All right. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best in your claims, and we wish you also all the best in... It's not going to be an easy one, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. But that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.